Welcome back to another episode of Divine Journey 2. In the last episode, we went to 3 different dimensions, including Icica, the Aether, the Erebus. And using resources from all 3 dimensions, we were able to make the Resonator. So, our goal for this episode is to get into Chapter 9, which is Extra Utilities 2, Open Blocks, and Mob Grinding Utils. So, the first actual block we need to make is the manual mill, which is going to allow us to actually use our resonator. And to make said manual mill, it's just some polished stone, which is GP powder around regular stone. And then this redstone gear, which is just redstone torches and polished stone. And there's our manual mill. Next up, we're going to make the solar panel, which is just polished stone, GP powder, and elite control circuits. And now we're going to make some stone burnt, which is just polished stone and the resonator. And to actually get enough GP powder for this to craft, just have to right click once on the manual mill and wait for it to finish. Next up, we're going to make the Redstone Star, which is just GP powder, redstone, ender shards, and red coal. And to actually get red coal, it's just a block of coal in the resonator. To get ender shards, we need this glass cutter, which is just refined obsidian, copper, and iron. And then combining the glass cutter with an ender pearl, we can get 8 ender shards. And now we can make our redstone star. Okay, I had a look in the quest book, and it seems the different mills from extra utilities got nerfed in this pack. And it looks like the fire mill and the lava mill actually generates the most. So I think we're just gonna do 5 or so fire mills for now. But yeah, to actually make the fire mill, it's just nether brick, stone burnt, 1 redstone star, and 1 GP powder. So to actually generate GP with the fire mill, I just put down some netherrack and the flint and steel on it, and then all I have to do is just place the fire mill above, and now we're generating 8 GP passively. And the thing about GP, you don't have to connect it with any cables or anything. It's just attached to your player, so as long as the chunk is loaded, I believe it should work anywhere. Now that we have overhead with the amount of GP powder we're generating, we can make some speed upgrades for the resonator. To do that, it's just mechanism speed upgrades, gold, and these upgrade bases, which is just enriched alloy in the resonator. Since we have 5 fire mills, that's going to generate us 40 GP, since the 8s do 8 GP and 8 times 5 is 40. And if we start going higher than 40, we're going to lose 33% efficiency, and that's not very good. So the next resource we're going to need a ton of is this Osglow Lapis, which is just Osglow glass and lapis in the arc furnace. And putting this Osglow Lapis in the resonator is going to give us reactive dust. Next up, we need demon metal, and to make that, it's just 4 nether bricks surrounded by lava, and then throw gold in, and there's a chance that it's just going to burn the gold, but you have a pretty good chance of getting a full stack back. Got pretty lucky there, I got all 4 stacks back. The next resource we need is demon lord ingots, which is just active dust and demon ingots in the arc furnace. So I've decided that I'm also going to make 8 lava mills, and to actually make them it's pretty easy. It's just stone burnt, the redstone stars, and the GP powder. To get the most out of our lava mills, the questbook recommends setting it up in the nether, and questbook also says that the max you can get from one of these is 7 by having flowing lava around the actual mill. So I guess I'm just gonna tier these up, so I only have 4 left, and I'll be back. So with 8 extra lava mills, we're now producing 96 Grid power. Next up, we need to make these stones, which take the unstable ingots, and we have to be quick with these because if we don't craft it within 10 seconds, we're gonna explode. So yeah, I guess I'll do one at a time. That would make the most sense. So just unstable, surrounded by lunar. Yeah, okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're good. Now that we have our stone burnt, we can actually start making the second tier of machine frames, which is the machine blocks. Using our newly created machine block, as well as some moonstone and quartz burnt, which is just a block of quartz in the resonator, make our enchanter. Using our newly created enchanter, we can now make some magical wood, which is just lapis and oak bookshelves. And we can also throw some speed upgrades in there. The second recipe we have to make in the enchanter is Enchanted Ingots, which is just gold and lapis. And the reason we needed these enchanted ingots is actually for the sun crystal. Now, to actually charge up this sun crystal, all we need to do is just drop it when it's daytime, and it'll charge slowly. You can kind of see the little particles there. And yeah, now we just wait. And that didn't even take like 30 seconds, and it's full. So I'm gonna do these other three, and I'll be right back. And now, using our fully charged sun crystals, some magical wood, and some moonstone, we can make our thermal conductor rod. Next up, we need to make the XP bottles, and to actually get that, we need the XP bottler, but that requires open ingots, which is just demon lord ingots and paper in the arc furnace. Combining our open ingots and a sun crystal, we can make our XP bottler. And to actually get the XP bottles, we can take an XP tank from down here, and if we put it on top, it'll drink it, and we just have to put regular bottles in. And there's our XP bottles. And combining our bottles of experience with the thermal conductor rod, some GP powder, and some bronze, we can make RF powder. And with that, we have unlocked Chapter 10, which is Thermal Expansion, EnderIO, and the End. And I think two of our first goals are going to be going to the end, so we get infinite ender pearls. That'd be nice. And also another goal would be this crafting terminal from AE. So to actually get our machine frames, it's just the machine blocks, some RF powder, some seared bricks, and some tin gear. The first machine that we're going to make from thermal is the Sawmill, and it's just a machine frame, 2 saw blades, with just steel, copper gears, redstone reception coil, which is just gold and red alloy, and tin plates. I think I said tin plates already. Yeah. Next up, we need to make the augment for the sawmill. Resin funnel, that's actually going to get us the resin that we need. And this is just RF powder, silver plates, redstone servos, which is just iron and redstone. It's fluid router, which is just fluid pipe, some treated wood, and some redstone and iron. Next machine we need is the fractioning still, which is just tin, nickel, constantin, the machine frame, and some reception coil. And the final machine we're going to make right now, the Induction Smelter, which is also just some tin, invar, copper, the redstone reception coil, and the machine frame. Alright, let's get to automating, or semi-automating I should say, our resin. So to actually get this resin, we have to put resin in the fractioning still. But to get resin, it's just wood inside the sawmill, and you're gonna get 10. So we can do a little tiny setup like this, where we can output items to the top, or actually put our augment in first, and we'll just output items to the top and fluids to the right on yellow, and then we can put our fractioning still right next to it, and input. This should be on auto output, it is. And now if we put logs in, you should see that planks go to the top, and our rosin goes in the fractioning still. And once we have 100, I believe, 200, that's when we actually get our rosin. Right, this ran for a bit, and there's our first piece of rosin. The reason I made this induction smelter is actually so we make Eyes of Ender, and it's just the normal recipe, just inside the induction smelter. And the reason I wanted Ender Pearls, or Eyes of Ender rather, is for these, so we can actually go to the end and get this Resonant Endstone, which drops the Resonant Clathrates, because later on, we actually need to combine both the Resonant Clathrate as well as the Rosin to get the Coated Clathrate. And then if we put that in the inscriber, we'll eventually get the estimation processor, and that's actually required for the crafting terminal. I was having a look through the resin recipe, and I actually noticed if we use spruce wood, we actually get 20 instead of the normal 10. So I'm going to switch to actually using spruce wood. So, while our sawmill is still processing all the wood, I guess it'd be a good time to actually go find the end. Yeah, I'll go find the stronghold and I'll be right back. Okay, I found the portal. And like we got lucky. It's filled and I only had 11 left. Alright, I guess let's go on in. Alright, now that the dragon is dead, the other thing we need from the end is this resonant endstone, the clathrate. And I think I'm just gonna silk touch it for now. Unless, yeah, I think I'm gonna silk touch it right now. Now that we have our 4 rosin, we can combine it with the resonant clathrates in the induction smelter, get our coated clathrates. Now if we combine our coated clathrates with the estimation press, we should get our printed estimation circuits. If we combine those with silicon and redstone, we should get our processors. Combining our 2 estimation processors with our ME terminal, calculation processors, and 2 red alloy, as well as the formulaic assemblicator, which is just red alloy, basic circuits, 2 crafting tables, and steel casing, can make our crafting terminal. Alright, now that we have our crafting terminal, our next big goal is to get into EnderIO, but to actually do that, we need to make the dark ingots, which are a combination of bitumen, which we could just get from pulverizing oil shales, that's easy to find, and tar, which is made in the fractioning still from oil, which is magma crucible, the oil sands, you should get crude oil, I believe. Yeah, crude oil from the oil sands, or we can use liquefied coal to get the tar. So for right now, I think we're just going to go with another fractioning still. And I think I'm just going to go with the coal route right now, because that's the easiest. So we're going to make a pulverizer. We also need magma crucible, as well as the fluid transposer. So to actually get our tar, liquefied coal and a fractioning still, and that's just pulverized coal in the magma crucible. And pulverized coal is coal in the pulverizer. Very simply, it's just do a pulverizer to a magma crucible to a fractioning. And then for sides, we could just say the left for input, right for output, and then same thing for the magma crucible. And for the fractioning still, since I don't believe there's any byproducts. Oh, there is. Just naphtha. We could just output it to the right for now, I guess. Some coal in. Should be somewhat automated. And it's 200, I believe. Liquefacted, yeah, 200 liquefacted coal. So it's just 2 pieces of coal, and there's a 75% chance of getting tar. Then all we have to do to get our dark ingots is just put bitumen tar in the arc furnace. And in a couple seconds, we'll get our dark ingot. Now that we have our dark ingots, we actually need to convert them into energized dark ingot. And to do that, we actually need refined fuel, which is just the naphtha in fractioning still. And we're already getting naphtha for making the tar. So with that being said, I made another fractioning still, and we can put up to our other fractioning still. We just set the input for naphtha. Should get refined fuel here. After waiting for a bit, got enough refined fuel to fill one bucket, and can now make our energized dark ingots. Now that we have our energized dark steel, we can actually start making machine chassis. But for that we need grains of infinity. It's just lighting bedrock on fire, and there's a 50% chance of a grain of infinity dropping. And with that, we can combine it with the machine frame and the energized dark ingots to get our simple machine chassis. Alright, now that we have our energized dark ingots, if we combine it with both refined obsidian and steel in the arc furnace, we can make dark steel. I just noticed that from a quest reward we actually get a portable tank full of smoldering tar, and if we actually put that through the fluid transposer with some slime balls, it's actually guaranteed to give us tar, which is pretty nice. But we still actually need to keep this hole set up, since we need the refined fuel for the energized dark ingots. Now that we have energized dark ingots, we can also get into a bit of EnderIO conduits. The binder, just the dark dust, some clay, some sand, and some gravel. And now that we have our simple machine chassis, we get into EnderIO machine. And the first one that we're going to make is simple alloy smelter. And this is just furnaces, some infinity bimetal, which is just steel, some stone, grains of infinity, and of course the simple machine chassis. It's the reason we actually needed this. For the next tier of machine chassis takes this industrial dye blend, and this takes both the organic dye as well as organic black dye. And to actually make the green dye, it's just any green dye plus slime balls plus coal. And the organic black dye is just 6 pulverized coal, 1 slime ball, coal. Alright, and if we combine both our organic green and black dye with some nether quartz and some crushed lapis, we can make our industrial dye blend. And the next EnderIO machine I would like to make is the farming station, so we can fully automate our diesel production. But to actually do that, we need the soul machine chassis, means we need the industrial machine chassis. And I gathered up the missing materials. Here's our first industrial machine chassis. Now that we have our industrial machine chassis, the only thing we're missing is the soul-attuned dye blend. And the only thing we're missing from this is just the organic brown dye, which is just any brown dye, slime ball, and 2 coal. And now if we combine our Solitude dye blend with some Solarium and the industrial machine chassis, we can make our first Soul machine chassis. I've made up a few more Soul machine chassis, and the first one we're gonna make is the Slice and Splice, and the second machine we're gonna make is the Soul Binder. Now for the last part of the farming station, the only thing we're missing is Frankenzombie, and that's why we need the Soul Binder. But to actually make this, the C-Logic controller, which is why we need this Slice and Splice. And this is just easy enough. It's just silicon, some redstone, some solarium, and zombie head. That's pretty easy. And to actually get our Z-Logic controller, all we have to do is throw this license. And we can use one of these Z-Logic controllers as well as some quartz, as well as a solarium block to make our soul vial that we need for the Franken zombie. And now that we have our Franken zombie, make our farming station. Now that we have our farming station, I think I'm gonna call it here for this episode. And in between episodes, I think I'm gonna rework this farm so we could use the farming station and finally automate our diesel generator. So yeah, thanks for watching.